Hello friends, I'm Paige and I genuinely love cats and dogs equally. Maybe dogs like a little bit more, but it's a teeny tiny microscopic amount. Anyway, I'm gonna jump right in and say that I am posting this video kind of late because I have been kind of avoiding talking about this subject. It's not a subject that I feel super comfortable talking about, but I do think it's important as part of this journey and as part of like figuring out my self-worth, self-esteem issues, what have you, because it is all tied together and it is my relationship with food. Just as a warning, this subject might be triggering for some people. If you have food issues, if you struggle with an eating disorder or you're currently recovering from an eating disorder, first of all, I want to say you're doing amazing. Stick to it. Take every single day as it comes and just know that you're not alone. But if it's too much for you to hear about my issues with food or think about food in general, then now's the time to click away from this video. I think our human relationship with food is really weird because you need it to live. There are people, possibly myself included, but I don't know, I don't want to like self-diagnose, but you know, addiction to food or certain types of food is a real thing, but it's not like any other addiction where you can just kind of try to distance yourself from it, because you do need food to live. You need it to live. It's supposed to keep your body running, and nutrition is a huge part of our health, our physical and mental health. But we also, as humans, associate food with other emotions. I mean, there's a whole genre of food dedicated to comfort. Everyone has their own comfort food. Mine is probably macaroni and cheese or ice cream, dairy-based comfort. But you know, you also associate food with happiness, you know, with celebration, with being with family and friends, with, you know, specific holidays. Despite, no matter what your religion or non-religion is, there is a holiday in your life that is based on food, be it Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever the case may be. There is a holiday in your life that is based on food. And if there's not, then you have some other food-based celebration, like a birthday, I promise you. That's a worldwide thing. I grew up, as I mentioned before, with very little supervision and with virtually no supervision when it came to food. And I also grew up with a house that was full of every kind of food that you could imagine. We had lots of healthy foods like veggies and fruits and stuff like that. You know, stuff for sandwiches, deli meats and peanut butter and whatever. But we also had any kind of snack that I ever wanted. Chips, you know, pizza, those pizza roll thingies, Rice Krispie treats, Dunkaroos, which were my personal favorite. By the way, they should bring them back. Any kind of snack you can imagine, we had it in my house. My mother also liked to, or still does, bake. She bakes every holiday season. And so therefore we always had a lot of baking supplies in the house. So if I wanted it, I could have it. And I had nobody around to tell me no, or you shouldn't have that, or you're gonna spoil your dinner, or you're getting kind of chunky, or anything of that nature. I had no supervision whatsoever when it came to food. I also associated food with love and with family, because whenever I did get to spend time with my mom or any other part of my family, it typically revolved, and still to this day revolves, around food. We would go out to dinner all together, or my mom and I would go to dinner, or we would go to lunch, or we would have family breakfast. My family does, or used to, we don't really anymore, but we used to do breakfast for Christmas. I don't know why, but that was what we did. you know, and then you go out to brunch with your friends or dinner with your friends. And yeah, I would eat when I was bored, I would eat when I was sad, I would eat when I was lonely, I would eat when I was just zoning out. And I never had any real self-control when it came to food. And now, you know, it's still a struggle. I'm more conscious of it and therefore better about it, but I do still, like, you know, find myself snacking a lot throughout the day, especially now that I don't have a lot of real structure to my day, a breakfast time or a lunchtime or a dinner time. I just eat. I also have this weird thing. I had a therapist, sorry, dogs. Well, oh yeah, I also had a therapist, not my current therapist that I'm seeing right now, a previous one, tell me that I treat food like someone who grew up not knowing where their next meal was coming from. And I didn't really know what to make of that at the time, but she wasn't wrong. I have this thing in my head where it doesn't matter if I'm full or not, if there's still food on my plate, unless it's enough to like justify taking home, you know, as an extra meal or saving as leftovers. If I have like 2, 3, 4 bites left on my plate, no matter how full I am, I feel the compulsive need to finish it. And I don't know why, because I've never not had access to food, ever. So I don't know why that is. It might be like from my grandparents. I do remember when I was little and I would visit my grandparents for like the entire summer, they would really stress finishing everything that was on your plate. So maybe that just, those summers really ingrained themselves into me. I don't know, or maybe it's just a subconscious thing, or that I just really enjoy food. But yeah, so I'm now kind of trying to start challenging that and making myself leave food behind. So the deal is that I worked out in my head is like, you know, if I start to feel myself getting full and it's enough left on my plate to like save for later, make a snack out of or a meal out of another day, then I save it. But if I'm feeling, or I start to feel full, or even if I'm not full, I have to leave at least 2 bites on my plate and I have to throw them away, which seems really, really wasteful, but I think it's the only way to kind of challenge that part of my brain that says it doesn't matter if you're full, you have food left on your plate. And I kind of hate contributing to how much we as Americans waste, and I really do hate wasting food. I hate throwing food away in general. You know, like if you have like a piece of fruit you didn't eat in time or whatever, you have to throw it away. I hate that feeling. And it doesn't matter if I spent my own money on it or not, I hate doing it. You know, obviously if something's rotten, I'll throw it away, but I feel really bad about it. Anyway, yeah, and I think as a result, obviously, of my constant eating, I was kind of chubby as a kid, and then I really struggled with really intense, restrictive, yo-yo, crash dieting all throughout my teen years. I struggled with bulimia for a really long time, and it was something that I didn't ever feel comfortable addressing with other people, and it was something that if anyone knew or caught on to it, nobody ever said anything to me about it. So it was something I had to like get myself out of. I never went to rehab or treatment for an eating disorder. I just sort of one day stopped or really kind of, stopped is a really strong word, like tapered off from doing it. For reasons for which I'm not going to talk about here, because again, it can be very triggering, and I don't want that to be what this video is about. I want it to be just generally my relationship with food. If you know me and you have a question and you want to ask me, you can, that's fine. But yeah, I'm really trying to challenge how I treat food, and I'm really trying to challenge how I treat myself and my body. For anyone wondering, I am doing well out here, mentally speaking. I feel really good. I am working out, I'm taking my vitamins, I am seeing a new therapist, which has been really great. And I recommend therapy to everyone. I think it's an amazing resource to have a third, completely impartial party to talk to. Whether you really feel like you need it or not, I think therapy is an excellent tool if you can figure out a way to do it. There are a lot of, cheaper options for people who don't have a lot of money. In California, insurance will cover a good portion of it a lot of the time. So it just depends. Obviously, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But I do think that there's no shame in therapy, and I think it's really helping. But there are still things about myself, both physically and mentally, that I don't like. And there are things that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that like I am feeling really great now, but it's because I'm, kind of separate from the real world. And I'm afraid that when I go back into the real world, I'm not gonna be able to continue my good patterns, and I'm not gonna be able to continue to actually feel like I like myself. So that's something I'm working on. Yeah, so wish me luck on this sort of challenge of leaving food behind and feeling okay with myself while doing it. And I hope that if any of you out there are struggling with food or any kind of mental health issue at all, that you get help for it, or you reach out, talk to someone. There's always someone to talk to, a family member, a friend, a therapist. You can talk to me. I'm by no means a mental health professional, but if you really are struggling and don't feel like you have anyone you can talk to, feel free to hit me up and just say like, hey, can I just vent to you and just get some stuff off my chest? And I'm happy to always listen to anyone at any time. I just think it's so important to acknowledge mental health and acknowledge, parts of ourselves that we're struggling with. So that's where I'm gonna leave this video. Usually I like ask a big question or ask for advice, but I just kind of want to leave it here and post it before I chicken out, because I am really struggling with the fact that I'm doing this. If you want to continue watching my journey, you can hit subscribe. Again, feel free to follow me on Instagram or reach out to me by phone or email if you have my number or email address. And thank you again so much for all of your support and for coming on this journey with me. It really means a lot. Okay, I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.